Hello, hello. I hope I'm sounding clear and better than before. And here I am, surprise, no headset. We're officially hooked up for real with our little. You can see him right here in the corner of my collar. The new mic. Uh, I did a test run. It sounded good to me. I can adjust levels if it ends up being too loud. So let me know. Otherwise, I'm hooked up. I haven't done anything else with it other than test it out. I want to do a completely clear run for my first live show, just to see how it works out before I start layering things onto it. But exciting. Um, this has been the big hurdle, in my opinion, for what I want to do with the channel. Um, so I still have the headset, and I think it'll come back whenever I get sound things in here. But I want just a nice, clear, no headset day. Um, Obviously, no music, no anything yet. Um, but yeah, I tested it all the way up to the herb garden, which I thought it was going to cut out that far away, but it's got a pretty solid connection even that far away. And the Bluetooth was giving out just at the edge. That was just at the edge of the Bluetooth. So even though it said it needs a line of sight, it doesn't. It can go through a couple walls. So that's good. Hopefully it holds up and I can use it for lots of different things if it's really as good as I think it's going to be. So that's fun. I'm also hoping that it's not going to pick up. I wanted to pick up ambient noise in the room, but I'm hoping you can't quite hear the furnace in the other end. There goes the refrigerator. So we'll see how it deals with other sounds. I may need to get a filter for noise gating and such. I'll give it a fair test. Um, Today what I've got for you, as I mentioned in the title, I'll pop over and we can take a quick look at it. It's gonna have to come to room temperature, and that's fine because it's gonna be one of the last things we do because it's gonna be one of the fastest pieces to cook. But we'll get over here and look at it. And my camera has not updated. Aha, it's that shininess. Foil always crashes the camera because this is an old terrible camera. Anyways, this is a $2 steak I got. Um, it's been in my fridge, seasoning up for two days. I salted both sides, and then I laid it on the rack here, and I seasoned the top with garlic powder, onion powder, chipotle pepper, and black pepper, and left it for a day. And then I flipped it, and I seasoned the other side with the same seasonings. And it's got some drainage into the pan, but for the most part, it looks like it's successfully salted and sucked the juices back in, and the seasonings have stuck. So it should be richly flavored, and it's slightly wet on the surface, but not like wet. But it's going to need to sit out in the open for a bit to help the surface really dry off, and also because it needs to come up to room temperature for ideal cooking. So it's not ice, so it's not fridge cold, and it just came out of the fridge. So I wanted to show you guys. I wanted to show it a little bit better, but if I put it right in the center of the, put it this way, it freezes the camera. This steak was $2, and I can tell you why. Because it's a piece of pork. I have been. It's the middle. It's winter. It's the start of winter. We're just past Thanksgiving, and we're heading into Christmas. This is pork season because Thanksgiving and Christmas, and then also Easter on the far end of it. are ham holidays. Uh, turn that, wake up. Uh, our ham holidays in the U.S., and as a result, there's a lot of pigs being butchered for hams. But each pig only has 2 hams, and there's a whole rest of a pig. And they don't just throw it out, they go through the whole thing, the whole shebang. And you end up finding all of the other cuts crash in price around ham season. This is a shoulder blade steak, and this one, for some reason, has no bone in it. Usually these have a bone in it, so this one doesn't have a bone in it, which is going to make it easier to cook. Back to chatting. I should come up here. So it's the same reason you see the McRib at McDonald's around this time of year, is because pork prices drop and they swing in and they grab all the scraps and turn them into pork sandwiches. Same thing with any of these other bits and pieces that aren't hams, because there's just ham production. The only thing it really doesn't ever get impacted by it is bacon, because the demand for bacon is pretty level year round, and it preserves pretty well because it's cured. So don't expect there to be a big crash in the price of bacon. But if you like pork, or if you don't like pork, pork is cheap right now, and it's especially since the price of a lot of other meats has gone up, 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 up. You can find some pretty good deals on pork. So like I said, this I didn't weigh it out. It's a good-sized piece of meat for $2, and I'm trying to treat it right. So that's going to sit there and rest, warm up a little bit. The other things I'm going to attempt today are parsnips. I've seen these in the store a lot, and I've heard of them. I don't think I've ever had parsnip, or if I do, I don't remember it. I could not tell you what it tastes like without tasting it. So I'm gonna cook this parsnip because I don't know much about it. It's obviously some kind of large starchy root, similar to many of them, but it's conical, long and narrow. And part 3, and this one I guess is going to be a bit of an experiment. I want to try cheesy apple. So I've got myself some Granny Smith apples. Nice large apples, firm flesh, good for baking. So a sticker on that one. They're also tart, and I understand that cheese on apple pie is a thing in Canada, possibly other places, but I've heard of it from Canada. And I've also personally done some apple recipes where the apples didn't come out sweet, they came out savory, or at least on the savory side. So I want to try something like that with this. So I'm going to try making a baked cheesy apple out of this apple. And if it's a complete disaster, I've got a couple more. So you never just buy one apple, you buy a couple. So that's the plan today. I don't honestly know how long everything's going to take, but I am going to give it a go. Got to keep an eye on my audio here, because that's the other thing I'm testing today, is how well the audio works. I thought it was a good day for a steak, so we can test that pan sizzle, see how that that picks up. Yeah. So that's our plan. I feel like the parsnip is going to take the longest. So I'm going to start with the parsnip. Now, I've done a little bit of reading about them, so I'm not going in completely blind. I know there's a core in the middle there that is described as woody, and it needs to be cut out. And that you're supposed to get parsnips on the smaller side. I don't know that this seemed pretty average for the ones that were available, but I don't know how that compares in general, because I don't typically buy parsnips. But I'm supposed to err toward the smaller side so that there's less of a woody core. I need... My cutting board has been gradually warping itself as I use it and wash it. And I need... Oh, crack in it there too. What was I saying? I distracted myself. Let's not forget. I just resharpened all my knives, so let's not forget and do a quick hone before I dive in. Which is another thing to test the microphone with. See how that picks up. So this little end looks dried up, so I'm going to just take the tip off down there. And that stem part doesn't look super nice for eating as well. So I'm going to take the stem off, and that'll be the core, that white bit in the middle. So let's get in there. It doesn't feel that much harder than the surrounding root. But it sure does go all the way to the bottom. Ooh, they smell good. It smells familiar, like something I've had before. Maybe I have had parsnip and just blocked it out. I think the easiest way to get that core out of there is going to be to quarter it, and then try to trim it out on an angle instead of try to scoop it out. Oh, it definitely feels hard. It's got an edge that doesn't crush when I squeeze it, so I'm going to go ahead and assume that it's inedible. I'm going to cut directly towards my hand, the safest way to cut anything. No, that was a lie. Don't do that. Taizan, you're first and... moist. I hope that comes through. I hope that comes through as well as it did before. Welcome in. How does the mic sound? It sounded good in my testing, but I need some feedback as well. I ran the mic through its paces, or well, through some of the paces that I thought I would run into. The sound was strong all the way up to my herb garden in the front window. I thought it was going to cut out when I got to the hallway, but no, it held all the way to the front window. So it's got a much stronger signal between the transmitter and receiver than I was expecting, which is good. It may even mean that I'll be able to use it for things beyond just this, because it seems like it's quite a powerful little beastie. We're making parsnips. because I don't recall ever having eaten parsnips, although they smell super familiar. Yeah, I noticed that too in when I did the test because I listened back to myself on the other mic, the old headset, and it always really bugged me. I always thought that on that line I sounded like um oh, what's his name? He's one of our streaming friends. Craig and Bake on my old mic. That's what I always thought I sounded like. Nobody agrees um, with me, but that's because they're hearing me in person. This, I think, sounds closer to how I hear myself. Not quite the same, but much closer to how I hear myself, which is nice. Um, yeah, I also got a haircut, real short hairs. It was getting a little bit out of out of whack. Yeah, we would have had the mic tested on Saturday, but problems abounded. Um, Parsnips. I don't know how to cook parsnips. I think they need to be either roasted or boiled or both. Can you boil parsnips? 3 delicious ways to cook parsnips. Looks like you can do whatever you want with them. But yeah, I can't recall ever eating parsnips, but they smell super familiar. So I must have had them at some point. Do I want to do them whole? I think I want to keep them in these nice long pieces. And do I want to roast? I was gonna bake the apple, so I was gonna bake the apple. Oh, temperature do you roast an apple at? Roast apple. Um, all right, I'm reading. Don't worry, the mic has improved the sound, but the quality of the show is just as bad as it's always been. Um, okay, let's start preheating an oven. Let's start by preheating an oven. And get out a tray. Now my small tray is currently underneath the pork catching the drips, but it's clean because it's been foiled off. So I think I can just pull the foil off and use that pan. Let's swap over. I don't know if you all saw the $2 steak. I found a $2 steak. But I think I can just take this off like this, keep it resting. It needs to sit and rest out somewhere because it needs to get up to room temperature. But this is clean because it was all foiled off, so I think we can just use that for our roasting. I will lay down a little bit of parchment. Let's get these guys oiled as well. The classic way. You put a little bit of oil in your hand. Oop, I'm on the wrong side. Before I get my hands all oily. Put a little bit of oil in your hand. And then you rub it all over the vegetable. Nice thin layer of oil gets on the vegetable. so it's not swimming in oil. And you moisturize your hand. A little bit more than that because I have several of them to go through here. This is how I do potatoes when I'm doing like a baked potato. I'll just put the oil in my hand and then rub down the potato rather than try to toss it in a bowl or anything. And what I find the benefit is, I'll get there in a sec. But I find the benefit of doing it this way. Okay, my hands are very oily, so thank you for the moisten. Yeah, you're a monster. Okay. Moist. I want to turn the clip around so it points at me a little bit more for that. That's one of the ones I want to automate so that when you redeem moisten, the bot says moist instead of me, and then I just take a drink. Anyways, let's get these guys ready for their trip into hell. And then de-oil my hands. Also, welcome in, Felix. I see you there. Hey, you can probably hear the sink better now, too. Delightful, horrible sink noise. That's the downside of having better sound. You can hear all the stupid sounds as well. If we're lucky, the fridge won't start clunking at me. So those guys are going to go in. Here they are. Well, they've got a sheen of oil on them, and they will stick. Let's give them some salt. Everything needs a little bit of salt. I've got story time today, too. Exciting stuff. So whenever I feel like I've got some downtime, I have a story I can jump into for story time. Okay, now, for an apple, when you're baking an apple, now a sweet baked apple goes in until it's like mush, almost. Oops, that was the wrong tab. I cleared my chat a little bit, but that's fine. It's fine. Desserts. I don't want it as desserts. Kind of no. Okay. I actually don't know what. I've never done recipes for Breath of the Wild. I've also never played Breath of the Wild. I should play Breath of the Wild and then do recipes from Breath of the Wild. That'd be fun. So I could either split this in half and do like a open face thing where I core it out and then I fill the little core divot with stuff, or attempt to core it out now and fill it. And I don't have a good tool for that. It would be harder to do, but it might give us a better result in the end. I do have, this is the nicest of the 3 apples that I picked up. But the other 2 aren't terrible. Get those stickers off of them. I wasn't planning on doing all 3 apples because I'm trying to limit myself more. I find myself eating too much when I cook delicious food for the show here. I'm going to do this one the easier way, in my mind, at least. So we're going to split it down the middle, grab our little paring knife, and take out the core. And if you look at them closely after you've split it down the middle, you can see where the core part is. It's like this little line that goes right around the middle. And the core is technically edible. It's just kind of tough compared to the rest of the apple. I'm sure if you've ever eaten a whole apple, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. There's a part of the flesh right in the middle, right around the seeds, is just kind of tough. The seeds themselves are poisonous, but only a little bit. I don't recommend eating apple seeds, and neither does the apple. The apple would like you to not eat the seeds and just throw them on the ground so that it can grow more apple trees. The poison also makes the seeds bitter. I'm going to take that little nub off the bottom where the flower was, and we're going to take that little nub off the top where the stem was. And actually, if I do that first, it might be easier to cut the core out. I see Saizan is on board with playing Breath of the Wild and then making food from Breath of the Wild. Oh, shoot. I slipped. Which is why I shouldn't cut towards my hand, because I just slipped, and if my hand had been there, I would have cut my finger. It's going to damage the integrity of our apple, too. This side's a little bit harder to get out, so I'm going to use a spoon rather than try to dig it out with the knife, because we did just slip, and I don't want to risk slipping again on my finger. Cut that thing. Okay. Okay. Apples have been cored. If you've got like a melon baller, that'd be perfect for this. Just going to widen up the little divots. Now, Granny Smith are very tart apples. Good for getting strong, like, sour apple flavor into things. They're also, I think, my favorite apple in general. I get them as eating apples. I know that's not the intended purpose and not most people's cup of tea, but I think they're great. I like that nice, sharp, tart apple flavor. Which is why I'm super disappointed by like green apple flavored candy, because they don't get the real sharpness of a real sour green apple. Like, okay. You guys are going in there. Let's see, I heard my oven click, so I'm gonna put the parsnips in. I think they're going to take a while. So they're going to sit there and think about what they've done. And I'm going to do something with these. I didn't think this through, so I'm playing this one kind of on the fly. We're in full like experimentation mode. Some residual. What is that? Cumin. Oh. Cumin. Should I put cumin on my apples? I'm not sure. Probably not. Probably not. They're going to be a side with the main. But the main is a piece of meat. So I'm thinking that a sharp, slightly acidic side dish would be a good counterpoint to a big piece of meat. So they're going to be the vegetable on my plate. The parsnip is going to be the starch, and then the steak is going to be the steak. So that's the kind of the role the apples are taking on this dish, which is not normal. Let's not grind that. That doesn't need to be ground. Not cumin. Why not cumin? Give me one good reason and be specific. This is ginger. This is what I got right here. This guy's powdered ginger. Can just leave him there. I'm just going to get out a little bowl, a glass bowl, so the camera doesn't freak out. I've never tried cumin with a tart base. I know that lime juice goes really well with Mexican food, and Mexican food uses a lot of cumin. So maybe, what goes with ginger? Allspice. You know what goes with those two things? Cloves. You know what goes with those three things? Cinnamon. Can you see where I'm going with these choices? Nutmeg. So this is a pumpkin spice mix right here. The classic pumpkin spice mix. Grab some coffee, throw out the apple, and you're done. Sounds good. Sounds like a winner. I've actually got... We could do coffee. I've got coffee granules. It was only $3. Coffee is not off the table. I should take the $3 off the top. Nope. I guess I'm going to leave it on there because it's adhered so badly it's going to tear. So this would be like an apple pie if I put this on there and baked it. Oh, shoot. Tell you what I'm going to do immediately before I forget and before these go off is I'm going to take a little bit of lemon juice, put it in the open hole in the middle, and then rub it around over all the cut surface. Because my apple was starting to oxidize while I was faffing around. And the acid will stop that. So now there's lemon on there, so we have to work around the fact that there's also lemon flavor in there. Because I just impulsively did that without thinking that I was dealing with my flavors. Cinnamon. Ginger. cinnamon, ginger. Onion. Clove. Allspice. I'm actually going to skip the nutmeg. Get this guy all mixed together. Ginger, red pepper, orange juice, onion, vinegar. Well, this has ginger, cinnamon, cloves, allspice. I can easily add heat and acid to it with tahine, which is a hot, sour, like pepper topping. Also, there's acid on it already, and it's a Granny Smith, so it's already a tart, acidic apple. Let's give it a taste. Oh. Oh, interesting. Interesting. I want a little bit of salt. Oh, interesting. It comes at you in waves. It comes at you in waves. I got a little nugget of the tahine, and it was noticeably sour. I feel like there's just crystals of citric acid in there, probably. I'm going to grind that up a little bit to make sure it's more evenly distributed. That's pretty good. It's spicy, it's sour, got a lot of... It's spicy in both ways. It's got some heat, but it's also got a lot of just spice flavor. Interesting. I'm going to go with that, and I'm going to just sprinkle it right on top of these cut apples. So we're kind of making like a savory apple pie, but we're cheating because we're not making a pie. We're just going to bake the apples directly. So that's fun. And yes, I did see that you added sugar. I'm not adding any additional sugar to this. I think there's going to be plenty of sugar. And again, I'm not going for a sweet dish for this one. So any sweetness is going to be from the natural sugar in the apples, not from additional sugar that I'm adding. And I also said I wanted to put cheese on this, and I'm going to, but I think I'm going to put it on in a bit. Let me take a peek at my parsnips. They're going to take a while. I'm not sure how long apples are going to take either. It's kind of a... This one has me microwave. I got a recipe here. It wants me to microwave the apples and then that's it. Yeah, the cheese would go on later after these have had time to soften up a bit. I'm wondering if I should put a little bit of water in the pan just so they don't dry out so much. They've got a little bit of like a steam bath on the skin side. I'm not sure. This is kind of experimental, and I'm working on things that aren't necessarily meant for this. So I didn't use the espresso. Put these spices back. Oh no, I wouldn't microwave it in this pan. I certainly wouldn't microwave it in this pan, but the other recipe I was looking at was just a microwave recipe. It was a microwave recipe for quick cheddar baked apples, but they're not baked, they're in the microwave. And I know things take longer in the oven, but I'd rather do it in the oven. I'm going to give it a little water bath at the bottom. Also, my temperature is a little bit low in the oven right now because I'm aiming for a temperature for these apples. But it means the parsnips are going to take longer. Okay. So 2 of the small container to kind of steam them up a little bit. Let's pop that guy. Let's pop that guy in and see what they do. Okay, well, I guess I'm going to use both hands on it. Still, the one thing missing from all of this is you guys don't get to see the inside of the oven ever. Okay. So the oven's on 350, and I just kicked it up to 375. Put a few bits and pieces away here. I can dive in. I've got a story. I've got story time. While I tidy up a bit. So you may remember from my various talkings about what I do all day, I like to go to thrift stores and look for things. I just today, found a shelf. I've been looking for decent shelving. I found a shelf, and it matches one I've already got. It's literally the same shelf, but this one has been second-handed off of a thrift store. It's actually the one I've got in my bedroom, if anyone remembers. If anyone who has personally visited me remembers the one that I've got in the bedroom, it was that shelf again. And I was like, oh great, perfect. I can get a second one of these. I like the first one. I can have them either together or separate things. Well, I couldn't quite fit it in my car while I was at the thrift store. I bought it, took it out to my car, and it was just like just a quarter inch off in any direction. I couldn't get in the back seat. I couldn't get in the trunk. I could get it almost all the way in the trunk, and then it was sticking like a foot out the back, and I didn't have any straps. And the store, of course, would have been happy to sell me some bungee cords, but I own bungee cords. I just didn't bring them with me. Well, a lovely elderly couple were also at the thrift store shopping. And they came out and they were watching me struggle with this thing. And at first they were offering to help me try to fit it in the car. And then when we were coming up short, when we were coming up with failure, they offered, because they had a pickup truck, to put it in the back of the truck and follow me home and drop it off. And then they did just that. They were so nice. They took time out of their own day to just carry a shelf home for me. Apparently, they used to live near here when they were young, and they've moved away to a different part of town. It was very kind. I was extremely thankful and like overwhelmed. Um, and it's right there. There's nothing on it currently, but it's because it only just got in the house. Um, but yeah, it was great because I was trying to figure out how I would get it home, and my idea was going to be I would leave it at the store, drive back home, grab some straps, drive back, and just have it hanging out the back of my trunk with bungee cords holding it together. Um, but I didn't need to do that. It was great. Uh, anyways, we've got parsnips in the oven, and we've got apples in the oven, and we've got this guy. This guy is the remaining guy. See if I can freak out my camera, but with all this reflective aluminum foil. This camera hates shiny surfaces. Steak. So, if you have been paying attention recently in the realm of food, you will know that the prices of things have gone up. The prices of many things have gone up. One thing in particular that has gone up quite a lot is beef. Beef in all its forms has become very pricey. Even the formerly really cheap cuts ain't so cheap anymore, and they're often even have to wait for discounts to get down to the prices that they used to be when they were reasonable. This is not beef. This is pork. This is a pork shoulder steak. It's about 3/4 of an inch thick. This one doesn't have a bone in it. Usually they have a bone in them. I was very surprised that it did not have a bone in it. I grabbed it. This thing cost me $2. It was a $2 steak. Got it 2 days ago. Salted it, seasoned it, flipped it. No, salted it, flipped it, salted it, seasoned it, and then let it sit for 24 hours. Flipped it again, seasoned the other side so the stuff wouldn't fall off. And left it for another 24 hours. So this has been in there for 2 days, salted and taking on its flavors and kind of drying out. And now I've had it sitting here warming up to room temperature. So I'm going to enjoy this nice piece of steak that was only $2. I don't know. Some of you probably were here at the beginning when I was talking about pork prices during ham season. It's ham season in the United States. The season of people just had hams for Thanksgiving. And people will want hams for Christmas. And then I've heard that there's also a rush on hams for Easter, and I'm not sure exactly if that tracks, but sure. But it means that all the parts of the pigs that aren't ham become available and the prices drop, such as the McRibs, such as chunks like this. If you're into grilling or smoking, now's a good time to pick up cheap pork. I think I kind of want to use this pan. I hardly ever use this one, but it would give us some really nice looking lines. But I don't really like that pan in general. So I think the standard cast iron is probably what we're going to end up using. And then I'm going to cook this. This is another thing. I mentioned this last time I made a pork steak. Here in the US, we have a long standing fear of undercooked pork, and it has resulted in decades, if not centuries, of people overcooking pork in America and then drying it out and then saying that they don't like pork because it's always dry. Once upon a time, there was some merit to that. Trichinella parasites were a problem, but they are no longer a problem. The regulations around pork production have been stepped up and stepped up and stepped up, and Trichinella is extremely rare in domestic pigs in the US. So much rare, so much so that the official guidelines for fully cooked pork have been lowered because there's no reason to cook it well done to the center. So don't do that. You can treat these just like you would a beef steak. Leave it medium to medium rare in the middle, and it'll still be good, and it won't be dried out, and it'll be nice and juicy and delicious. This has been my TED Talk about pork. Stop drying out your pork. But yeah, I don't necessarily want to do this until I think we're closing in on our vegetables. So, what else have I got to chit chat about? Because I've got a brief period of downtime while things kind of roast up. I can get the pan heating, I suppose. Ooh, I've got one for you. So I've been drinking. I drink a lot of soda. I've got a rather intense sweet tooth, and just recently I had been drinking Zevia. It's a stevia-based soda. They've got good flavor. I don't think stevia tastes like sugar, but I think it tastes good. So I can easily tell the difference, but I don't think it's bad to be able to tell the difference because it's a good flavor. But it was getting kind of expensive. It was like $9 for a 10-pack, which is kind of expensive for soda. So here's what I got. We can switch up to the big camera. It's a big bag of stevia. This was slightly more expensive than an equal-sized bag of sugar. So I'm not going to lie and say that it's cheaper than sugar. It was a bit more expensive than sugar. But a little goes a long way. This stuff is pretty sweet. As the package says, it's 0 calories. And then what I've started doing is I just put a spoonful in a glass of water and a little dash of flavor concentrate. So my water that you've been moistening me with just now is actually almond flavored. Oops, I peaked my mic there. It's actually almond flavored. And I've also got root beer concentrate, and I've got a couple others in there. So we can have fun. I can have fun, sweet drinks at home without all the extra sugar, because I know I've noticed myself going harder and harder on sugar, and also on some other things. I'm trying to level my diet out a little bit. Gosh, we're not even an hour in. Got the roasting. Roasting is not the most entertaining thing to watch. This would be the time when I would cut. And move to jump forward to when it's finished. There's always the issue when I try to do things that that are roasted. Um, I should have planned out something that required either the blender or the immersion blender or one of my powered devices because I wanted to do the steak today in part to test how it picks up on the mic, how the sizzle picks up on the mic. Um, so it would be nice to be like do a comprehensive test. Um, can you see the shelf? Can you see the shelf? Maybe. Maybe. It's not far from the kitchen, but it's also not in the kitchen. So, and cameras have to be, I don't have any wireless cameras, so every camera I use has to be wired in. But I think so. Bear with me while I attempt to move this one because it's got the longest cord on it already. So I think I can get this one over there without having to plug anything extra in. Stove. Oh, it's dark over there. It's actually not that dark over there, but that camera was set for the glaring whiteness of the. Oh, pointed at the Newski's bag. Come on. There's the shelf. Oop. Oh, it hates this. Okay. That camera is not happy. It's because I had to turn the gain up so high. Heck. Get this back and readjust it. It's pointed at the dish world back there. Get it pointed back at the stove. There, that wasn't so hard. That was the shelf. It's just kind of in the corner there. It's got nothing on it. That's where it's going to live. It's in the right spot. I just haven't put anything on it there. If you'll remember, when I was briefly in the other room for Thanksgiving doing a Thanksgiving eat-along, that's the blank wall that was behind me that had nothing on it. There's a shelf there now. I can put things on it, and the background won't be so so bland. And yeah, fortunately, I can get there because it's right next to the entrance to the kitchen. But since I don't even know if they make wireless, like streaming quality microphones, or not microphones, cameras, because they're not really in high demand. That oil has not stayed in the middle. It has immediately gone to the outer edge. I guess that means I have to oil the meat directly. I'm not going to put butter on this. One of the things I'm trying to cut down on is saturated fats. Going back to my discussion of cutting down on some things. So I'm trying to use . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . less. Like I'm not one of those people who be like, you can't ever eat butter, it's terrible for you. I'm just trying to moderate the intake of things like butter. Um, I'm trying to be conscious before I develop some health problem and be like, oh crap, now I have to go do this and I can never have butter again. I'd rather cut back now so that I can continue enjoying it in moderation later. That's the plan. That's the plan. Um, so, I'm using my old standby grapeseed oil, which is also the oil that I season these pans with. Um, but yeah. But yeah. You know, I didn't oil the apples at all. I hope that doesn't affect them. Ooh, the edges of the parsnips are starting to brown. That's a good sign. Should I? Because the parsnips are just naked with salt. Um, I wonder if I should make a sauce for them, like a quick dressing. Sauce for parsnip. Parsnip French fries with honey mustard sauce. That sounds good. I didn't make parsnip French fries, but that sounds good. It goes well with parsnip. Everything goes well with parsnip, according to whatgoeswellwithparsnip.com, um, including fruits and pork, including specifically apples and pork. Okay, good to know. I guess I'm in the right. I guess I'm in the right realm of the world. What? Okay. Get back over here. Just gonna let that pan be hot, ready to go. Trouble is, I don't know exactly what the parsnip's going to taste like. Based on how it smells, I'm probably going to recognize it immediately when I taste it. Um, but I'm not sure what flavors we want to pair with it. It just feels like it's going to be sad sitting on the plate by itself with nothing. Ooh, okay. Oh, no, I was going to do those in. Okay, maybe. Maybe. I've got some leftover walnuts. Um, but you know, I was thinking about sprinkling them on top of the apple. Parsnip with parsnip. Apparently, parsnips are a popular stand-in for potatoes as French fries. Ginger, honey, vinegar, thyme, parsley, basil, garlic, cheese, yogurt. Ooh, okay. That's putting me in a realm. That's putting me in a realm. I don't have yogurt on hand, but I have some sour cream, which is not the same thing, but it's kind of close. Let's. Ooh, I have a fun fact about parsnips because I was reading a bit about them and the lead up here. Uh, Parsnips are not related to carrots, but are related. Well, unless parsley is also related to carrots, but parsnips are related specifically to parsley. I thinking now. I bet you parsley and carrots are also similar. They have very similar leaves, but parsnips are called out as being close to parsley. Now I've got Wikipedia open. I'm looking at family trees of plants. Yes, okay. Celery, carrot, and parsley, and parsnip. So celery's in there too. That's fun. I'm going to make a sour cream based sauce just now. Sour cream's one of those things I keep on hand all the time now because I find that it takes forever to go off. Like, they've got expiration dates on these things. This one expired a month ago. But sour cream takes forever to go off because it's already soured. It's already spoiled. So if it starts to go moldy, then yeah, it's gone. But it's not like it's going to go... Because when milk goes off, it goes sour. This stuff's literally already been soured. So I find that sour cream lasts far longer than the expiration date. So now I just keep a little pot of it in there all the time. I'm not worried about getting it and using it up because it just keeps. This is Lyle's Golden Syrup, a British classic. I'm adding it into the sour cream here in place of honey. Ooh, flavors. Want to do fresh garlic or mashed or powdered garlic? We could do black garlic. I never get to use my black garlic. Where are you, black garlic? Ooh, now I'm just in experimental mode. Now I'm just in straight up experimentation mode. Get out my black garlics, pick the smaller one. Ooh, okay. Okay, now we're cooking with gas. Okay. If you're not familiar, that's a black garlic. The outer husk is the outer husk of just the paper part of the garlic and then there's this little nugget in the middle that is like this rich, savory, delicious. This specific black garlic is made from the single clove variety of garlic. And then it's really sticky and hard to work with, which is why I don't work with it often. I'm gonna dice it up first, but then you've got to mash it. Because it's like almost gummy. Black garlic is just garlic that's been fermented. And so you can make garlic out of any, you can make black garlic out of any garlic. It just happens that this one that I got was made out of single clove, specifically made out of the single clove garlic. Oop, I heard something sizzle. These parsnips are looking good. Those apples are looking appley. But I never use this stuff because I find it hard because it's so sticky. But it's like, it tastes nothing like fresh garlic. It's like tangy and sweet. And it got this rich savoriness. It's almost like molasses. It's good stuff. It's just so different from anything else. Oh, my ginger's almost out. I guess I'm Oh, I'm going to commit and get some of that ginger out of there. A little bit of ginger. Splash of vinegar to give us a little bit of liquid. I'm going to use apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar is always getting itself stuck shut. Ugh. There we go. Maybe a little bit more than a splash. I'm going to go for a tangy sauce, I guess. Salt is usually a good idea. Don't go overboard. A little dash of oil. Let's whisk that together and see how it tastes. Tiny whisk in the house. Ooh, the black garlic, although mashed, still kind of a mass in there. Which I'm not a big fan of. Tiny whisk does not have the strength to get through this blob of garlic on his own. So we're going to bring in a fork. Oop. Oh, wow, that tastes funny. Whoa, what is that flavor? What is that? It's a little bit of everything. Tastes a lot like yogurt, actually. Gotta get this piece of garlic broken up, and then Tiny Whisk can come back. Like, it's working, it's just kind of slow. You can tell it's working because the stuff is turning gradually browner as the black of the garlic gets pulverized into it. I can hear one of the vegetables in the oven whistling with steam. Okay, Tiny Whisk, you're back. Get this stirred up and give it a proper taste. Kind of made a poop sauce here. It's sweet, it's creamy. It needs something, it needs some bite. It's got a sour sharpness to it. It tastes a lot like yogurt, even though we didn't start with yogurt. I don't hate it, but I think I could have gotten here with fewer ingredients. That didn't add much at all. It's got it's got a pretty strong base flavor. I think the vinegar and the sour cream have combined into a pretty strong yogurty base flavor. Everything else is just kind of along for the ride. That helped. A little bit of salt helped, actually. It's less complex than I think I was going for, but I don't think that'll be a problem on the overall plate when we put this all together. It is just kind of this color. It's got sugar in it already. I don't want to add any more sugar. It's got Lyle's golden syrup, which I used in place of honey, and have in general been using. It doesn't taste like honey, but it's this sort of thick. I actually love this stuff. It's one of those things where this is it's tasty. We're gonna set that aside. I hear things happening in the oven, so we're gonna take a peek. Those parsnips are looking quite brown around the edges. I want to do let's just scoop this whole shebang up. Let's move the meat out of the way. Let's take a peek at those parsnips. Let's not advertise for the not a sponsor brand hardware store. Okay, here they be. See how tender they are. I think they're tender. The knife goes in with no resistance. So I'm going to say they're done. And they should not be cooked anymore. Let's get them off of there. Actually, I kind of want to leave them on there until I plate them. So they look good. I think they're done. The sauce will be applied later. We are going to see. Is that pan? Pan is pretty hot. Here, I will now check the apples. We're going to do the same thing with the apples. We're going to still a little bit of water in there. The skins have shriveled up a little bit. That's the one major thing I see immediately, is that the skins have shriveled up a little bit. But let's test for doneness, or for tenderness. There's still some resistance, but not a ton. It goes through pretty easily. So I'm going to say that they don't need any more baking in terms of absolute doneness. But I did want to cheese them up. Specifically, because this is based on the Canadian style of apple pie, cheddar cheese is going on them, and then we're going to melt it on the top. Oop. Dropping our cheese into the water bath at the bottom, which is not ideal. I'm less appalled by this after having recently done the Indonesian chocolate and cheese pancake, the martabak. My appreciation for a combination of sweets and cheese, especially cheddar cheese, I understand it more. And then I'm going to put this on now. Yes, we should put this on now so that it has a chance to kind of. They're going to roll around. They're all going to roll around. I'm going to lose them in the bottom. These are walnuts. I'm throwing some walnuts on because I want the walnuts. They will get toastified in the hot oven. Apple cheese chicken pie. Ooh, chicken. That's an unexpected third word. Okay. This guy's going in to melt off the thing and toast up the top. We'll move you, we'll move you. We're headed over to the countertop, or no, the stove top for this. It's been on for a while, so it is definitely up to temperature. We just need to get the meat in it. The time has come. Prepare for the sizzle. I hope it picks up as well as I am hoping that it picks up. I hope that I hope. Sizzle. How's that sizzle? Brie roast chicken in a pie with apples and cinnamon and a dash of sugar. That does sound good. Brie, I think, is a more forgiving cheese. Cheddar is just a very assertive cheese, so you don't think of it being combined with things like this. And I was very surprised how well it worked in the pancake with the chocolate. It was just sweet chocolate. It wasn't like it was dark chocolate, some fancy chocolate. It was just typical sweet chocolate. So I was very impressed. So I'm willing to do more experiments with cheddar in ways like this now because we had a really good result. So yeah, here we are. This smells amazing. The spices that I put on there immediately jump out as a when I put it on there. When I put it on the heat. Stop repeating myself quite so much. Oh my goodness. Oh, leave the pot holders out. We're going to need those. Thank you for the moisten. Moist. I can also check on my battery life. Interesting. This is our first full-length test for the mics. We're not anywhere near battery, but I'm keeping an eye on how well they're holding up. And oddly enough, the receiver is running down faster than the transmitter. I would think the receiver is doing less work, but I guess what do I know? I'm not going to be. I know that the gospel of steak is that you only flip it once. I've always thought that's kind of stupid. I've tried doing it that way, and if you get it right, it's pretty good. But I don't think that it's any better than being willing to flip it back. As long as you make sure to wait for your first flip until it's not, until the bottom has crusted enough to give us a flippy flip, so it doesn't stick, you're fine. Get that guy to the middle. This one's coming out a lot paler than I think the last one I did. We'll see if it's nice in the middle. I'm also going to toast this edge a bit because this edge has a little bit of a fat cap on it, and I want to render that down. But most of this blackening on the top, I think, is the spices that were there charring rather than a crust forming right on the meat. So we're probably going to have to give this another shot on both sides just to finish off. But I don't want to burn it to a crisp. I went through all that about how you don't need to cook pork right through well done to the middle, so that's fine. I didn't time this either. I should take a peek at my... Ooh, okay. I'll take the oven off, and we're going to bring these guys up to the top here. You can take a peek at... Actually, I'll put them there so you guys can look at them. Because our cheese is melted. Ta-da! Cheesy walnut apple pies. That's going to be a fun dive in to see what the heck that actually tastes like. 100% experiment over there. Okay, let's toast off that bottom side. We still got a lot of give, so it's not firm through to the middle. But I do want to render off that fatty edge a little bit. And I turned my temperature up just a bit as well. I think I had it a scooch too low. I had tried to keep it just shy of where it was smoking, and I think I undershot it a little bit. And you're supposed to actually have it smoking when you put the meat in anyway, so I probably should have turned it up a little bit. But overall, I think this is going great. If you're looking for a meat main dish and are balking at the price of beef, keep an eye out for one of these things. Price of chicken has gone up too. They still having problems with that bird flu. I'm going to give it another shot on either side just to see if I can't improve the surface crusting. We should select a plate while this is finishing off. What do you guys think? We've got sort of a tan colored thing here. Brown and orange and green, but the green is baked sort of brownish now. And then another sort of tan brown thing. So we're kind of in between the white plates and the brown plates. Since the sauce is brown, I think we should err toward the white plates. So I think we might be going for the squares again. think we might be square plate, because then the brown sauce will stand out against it. Okay. Oh. Maybe a scooch too crusty on that side. Maybe just a scooch too crusty on that side. Although some of them come off because they're bits of the seasoning that burned as opposed to the meat. So actually, it's maybe not too crusty if I just give it a quick scrape and get rid of it. Yeah, that looks immediately looks much better. There were little blobs of spices that kind of blackened in place. Okay. Okay. Still thinking about this brown sauce over here. I'm adding something to the brown sauce. Okay. I added something, quote unquote something, to the brown sauce. Ooh, that side looks great. Look at that. I think our steak is done. I need to get it. These guys aren't hot anymore. These guys aren't hot anymore. I can handle them with my hand. Our steak is done and needs to come off the heat. To rest, or it burns. That guy is hot, hot, hot. Oh. We're going to move him to the back row. And this burner is hot, so I can't put anything on it. Okay, steak needs to rest. I feel like I may have overshot the middle because I did flip it again. But I guess we'll find out when we get in there. How hot are you? You've cooled off. The steak's going to rest for a moment, and I'm going to come over to the counter. Here's my plate. We're going to start the plating while the steak is resting, and it can be added at the end. How mushy are these apples? How can I get them out of there? I think I need a spoon. I think I need a spoon to get them out of there. You can't even see them. The skin is holding them together, but only just. Okay. Apple. Brown sauce. Chef smear. I don't understand why the chef smear is a thing that all chefs do. I think it's kind of dumb. I've just done it out of obligation. But there's the chef smear. plating. I don't know if that looks good at all. The one thing that I am not versed in, that I think I won't be able to learn properly unless I go to an actual culinary school, is the logic behind this weird chef plating. I'm bringing this cutting board back. We've got an extra apple. And then the meat's going to be on this side. We're obviously not going to get that whole steak on that plate. I didn't intend to get that whole steak on that plate. I intended to like slice it off and then section it with this knife. So let's get him. He's still hot. He's still hot. So what resting does is it lets the juices that are kind of hanging out, that have been loosened up by the heat, reset themselves. So when you cut into it, you don't immediately lose a big goosh of all the moisture that was in that meat. Let's first of all see how it looks on the inside. Oop, still got a nice pink blush on the middle. Oh, it tastes really good. Yeah. Okay. We're just going to line these up and then try to fan them. Oh. It tastes really good. I'll keep licking my fingers in between taking slices of this. Oh! Pop over. I saw you there. Not your Dolly X. Welcome in. We are just in time for our plating. And then we will be tasting, and then we'll be wrapping up and heading off. So you're here in time for the fun part. The meat still has this nice pink blush in the middle, which is good. That's what I wanted. That's what I was going for. Means I'm not. So I'll recap since you just got here. This is a pork shoulder steak that has been dry marinating in my fridge for 2 days, with black pepper, chipotle pepper, salt, onion powder, and garlic powder. We have a roast parsnip. The sauce underneath is this brown sauce, which is a combination of sour cream, vinegar, black garlic, and 3 or 4 of these spices. Oh, and some golden syrup. And then we have a roast apple with walnuts and cheddar cheese, spiced with almost pumpkin spice, but with onion and tahini mixed into it. So I'm going for a sort of savory apple to complement the pork, to complement this root. Um, and yeah, I need to go take pictures of this one, but you're in luck. You're all in luck. Because since I made a second one of everything, I can actually just set the official one aside. Well, I should taste the parsnip, because that's the one thing. I don't know what parsnip tastes like. That was the whole point of doing parsnip, because I don't remember what parsnips taste like. I'm going to go take photos of this, and then we're going to pop back. Gotta take photos for the... I don't have an Instagram, but for the gram. I also... This is a good test of how the sound is when I'm in the other room. I absolutely can't read you in this room, but when I come back, I hope we will have said how good or maybe bad the sound is through the wall. My personal test earlier, it worked great through the wall, but I wasn't live then. I was just doing a quick record. And I'm back. How was the sound in the other room? Could you hear me chattering away? Excellent. This is... Yours is your first time here, but this is my first day with the new microphone. I've got the lapel mic on. This is our first live test of it. All I've done is a quick just see how it works test. So I'm happy with it so far. Everyone says it's been pretty good. So we're just here for the tasting. Let me get out a knife and a fork. Now I already licked my fingers while eating this pork, but I'll take a full proper bite and tell you about it. Mmm. 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 I may have oversalted it just a little bit. It's a touch salty. Not like overwhelming, but just a hair on the salty side. It took in the flavors of the things I had on it really well, though. The garlic and onion really enhanced the savoriness of the meat. And I think we nailed it on the... It's not... I think it's just on the well side of medium, honestly, but it's still tender and juicy in the middle. It's not dried out at all. Which, guys, if you're drying out your pork, you're doing it wrong. You don't need to cook it that hard. It's good stuff. Cook it just like a steak. Comes out just like a steak, except that it tastes... Yeah, I think it's on the medium well side. It's... The color on this camera is a little bit off. It's a little bit pinker in person than it is on the line on the camera there. So I think it's more toward the medium side of medium well, but yeah, it's in that sort of realm. The other two, now I knew that was going to work out, unless I overcooked it. I knew that was going to work out. I've done a pork steak before. We had it here so we could test the sizzle, and because it was a $2 steak. This was a $2 steak. Just goes to show you. Parsnip. I can't remember what parsnip tastes like. Crunchy. It's very mild. I thought it was going to be a stronger flavor. It's faintly carroty, but it's not really a strong carrot flavor. It's a... I like it. I'll get these more often, I guess. I guess I've never had this before. How do I describe it? It tastes very starchy. What is a parsnip? Well, this is the only one I had, so I can't show you a whole one. It's a root vegetable. It's cone shaped, about this big. It's sort of the skin is the same color it was when it was raw, except for the blackened parts. So it's sort of this light brown color, shaped like a carrot. It smelled like a carrot. It doesn't taste like a carrot. It's got this really sort of mild, starchy flavor to it. These were just oiled, salted, and roasted because I wanted to taste them as is, because I don't think I've ever personally made parsnips before, so I couldn't picture what the flavor was. It's mild. It definitely has flavor. It's not like it's tasteless. It's not a potato, although potatoes have flavor too. Um, I like the sauce. The sauce is good. Um, it kind of reminds me of celery root, if you've had celery root, but without. It's even got kind of a milder flavor than that. It's hard to describe. It doesn't really line up with anything else. So it's a little bit vegetal. It's got a little bit of that like celery or carrot herbaceous tang, twinge to it, but it's just a little bit. I can do. I can. Uh, this was just roasted as is. I can come up with ideas to use that. I can see why people use it as a substitute for potatoes and French fries. Last experiment. I'm going to swivel around for this one. We're going to do the full-on taste. This is our walnut cheese apple. This is the one that I'm just experimenting because I wanted to experiment. I have no idea what this is going to be like. I'm just trusting in food. The apple is soft, but not mush. So I think we nailed that. Oop, cheese kind of comes off. Huh. First thing that hits me, tastes like apple pie. Really tastes like apple pie. Crunchy walnuts. The cheese did not really jump out at me. Well, there it comes. It comes sort of at the end. I think if you wanted the cheese to jump out, you should select a. This is a medium cheddar. Or sorry, this is a mild cheddar. I should have used a sharp cheddar. I think a sharp cheddar would have jumped out more. I thought I had a medium cheddar, but that says mild cheddar. So I guess I grabbed a mild cheddar thinking it was medium. I think a sharp cheddar would jump out more. I think maybe like a goat's cheese or a feta, maybe a mix of cheeses, because I think the cheese needs a little bit more punch to it. The strong tang of the apple is kind of drowning it out. The apple will go really well with the pork. Apple and pork go super well together. That pork is so good. Well, the main event, the steak, is primo. I could try it with a pear. I did it with these guys, Granny Smith apples, because they hold up to baking. Pears are kind of soft, and I don't know that they would bake really well. You want a pretty firm base for anything that you're going to throw in the oven for that much time. Or you're right, it'll just turn to mush. I think if I did a pear, I'd have to cook the pear gently and then just finish it in the oven to melt the top and maybe toast the top. It's an idea to think about. Well, I can see that this has room for improvement. I think the pork is primo. I continue to advocate for not cooking your pork to death. Medium or medium rare is perfectly safe for pork, as long as you're getting it commercially. If you're getting a wild pig, then no. But parsnip intrigues me. I want to maybe try more things with it. We will see. I obviously didn't do much to it here. I thought it was going to be a stronger flavor on its own, so that's what's sort of throwing me there. Like when I have rutabaga. Rutabaga is a much stronger flavor on its own. I thought parsnip was going to be more like that, but it's not. It's a very mild flavor. Anyways, oh, and I thought we were going to run short today, but we've actually got just around the time I usually do. So let's go take a peek at who's live that I can raid into. As always, before I pick someone to raid, if you've got any suggestions, suggest. Otherwise, I'm pulling with someone from my list here. I was watching Billy earlier playing RimWorld. I could go back there. We also love visiting LaFay, who's currently playing Kindseed. I don't know what that is. It looks like a Stardew Valley-alike. That could be a fun sort of chill way to close out the evening. And I don't think we've ever raided King before, but he's playing the new version of Dwarf Fortress that has graphics. I'm interested in what Kindseed is, so we're gonna go visit LaFay just so that I can see what the game is that she's playing. So yeah, we had some. I did some experiments with the food, but the main event today was testing the new mic with various things, and I think it worked out. I think it's performed at or above expectations. So that gives me room to flex what I can do with the sound here. We may be even able to include background music, sound alerts. Who knows? Now that this is sorted out. And it's got a pretty good reach on it too. I can get to the other room and it still connects pretty solid. So that's a good sign for being able to do things, really branch out and do stuff. So yeah, stay tuned. We are coming into the holidays. There's going to be an interruption at some point, but I'll let you know. The countdown is approaching. There it is. I will just stare you down while we go see LaFay.